Second. Okay, so as always, I feel extremely privileged to welcome another beautiful teacher, mother, Jewish woman to our platform. That we celebrate all of you all the time and feel so privileged to have you. Sorry about that. I want to read Nechama labor. I had the privilege of working with Nechama recently on the G.R.O.W project, and she is really something so special. So Nechama labor is a mother of 11 and grandmother, a passionate educator with over 3 decades of experience. As the founder of the G.R.O.W Connection Circle, which evolved from Jewish Girls Unite, Nechama is dedicated to empowering girls and women globally, fostering a joyful connection with Hashem. She's the author of several books and creative curricula, including Grow Through Prayer, published by the G.R.O.W Press. Nechama offers online Grow circles and mentor training, online workshops for girls, and Grow retreats, including the cherished Jewish Girls Retreat since 2004, which takes place at the Greenbush Retreat property in upstate New York, where Nechama and her husband serve as Chabad Shlichim. Connect with Nechama and experience the inspiration she brings to the G.R.O.W Connection Circle for Israel Monday to Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Follow her at Jewish Girls Unite and explore more at growconnectionnetwork.com. But as you know, don't worry about it, because I will share everything with the group as I always do. And look at Jewish women. It's like astounding, isn't it? So I feel very, very privileged, and thank you so much. And Nechama, you there? I'm going off.
Yes.
Thank you, Nechama.
Wow, thank you, Naomi. I want to start off with gratitude to Hashem for connecting us through Geula. May we continue to bring Geula together. Thank you for this incredible group of women that you sustain and fuel, Naomi. And listening to all of your tefillahs from the heart inspired me today. And I see each and every one of you as the Nashim Tzidkaniyos, the women who called out to Hashem in the times of Galus in Mitzrayim, our Imahais who cried out to Hashem for their children. And that is you, each and every one here today. And so today our topic is a guide to divine connection, the G.R.O.W method. So I invite you to pull out a pen and paper and jot down 4 letters, G.R.O.W. This will be your guide today as I take you on this journey of connection. So just real quick, you don't have to know what it is, just write down G is gratitude, R is recognition, O is oneness, and W is wish. And anything that resonates with you, write it down. And I hope that you'll have something that will inspire you today and in your connection with Hashem. Our greatest human need is for connection. And we could choose to find this connection in our relationship with Hashem. Unfortunately, sometimes we look for it in the wrong places and in unhealthy attachments and connections. So I'd like to begin with a story called The World is Our Polar Bear. And I'm so happy to see some of you on camera. So please join me. I want to see your beautiful neshamas, beautiful, beautiful faces. Yes, I love talking to people. I'm someone who loves connection. I'm a connector. So I really appreciate seeing all of you. Easier for me to connect. Hi, everyone. Okay. So the story was told to me by my Uncle Lenny. My father, a blessed memory, loved to tell the story to his students with a profound lesson. In 1976, my uncle took a job in Barrow, Alaska. Now, first, I want you to understand, my father was the youngest of 4 boys who grew up in Boston. My father was the one who found Yiddishkeit in Brandeis University. And his uncle went to Alaska, not a place where there was a lot of Jewish connection. And he took a job about 500 miles away from the North Pole. One beautiful sunny day, his friend and him decided to take their snowmobiles and ride on the Arctic ice. And they enjoyed the beautiful views, and they stopped to admire the icebergs and the scenic, stunning views. And then they went to move on, and my uncle's friend realized that his snowmobile wasn't working. It was jammed. So my uncle patiently waited for him to work on it, and he went to sit on one of the icebergs, feeling like he was in another planet. And as he's looking far into the distance, he sees something drawing closer to him. And he realizes it's a polar bear. He jumps off the iceberg. He runs to his friend and he says, I read a manual what to do if a polar bear attacks. This is what you must do. Play dead. Do not move. Curl up into a ball and try not to breathe. And so the two of them jumped into action. And as the polar bear came closer, it first touched my uncle, and with its snout, it tried to move him around, seeing, is this his beer food? My uncle didn't move. And thank God, then he went over to his friend, and the same thing happened. And the bear realized, okay, I have to look somewhere else for food. And in the meantime, there was actually a gunshot in the distance. The bear was afraid and ran. My uncle jumped to see if his friend was okay. And then they said, let's get out of here quick. And he went to see if his snowmobile was working. And thank God, because it was leaning over to the side, whatever was blocking the fuel was dislodged, and they dashed out of there, back to their housing. My father, when he told this story, he was confronted with his own life-threatening illness at the age of 35 years old. And I can imagine that it spoke to him. And what he said was, when you face a polar bear, you cannot respond in a natural way. It's your life at stake. And so he taught never ever to give up hope, but in the challenge, the polar bear that we face, maintain your calm and connect to the divine. Now, it's easy to say, but what would you do if you were facing a polar bear? It's easy to read that manual, but at the moment, would you follow that guide? And so I myself witnessed that my father, in the last 2 years of his life, he refused to give in to the despair of facing a life-threatening illness, and instead, he increased his positivity and his joy. And I grew up with this trust in Hashem imbued inside of me. And so when you feel like you can't deal with a life situation, a polar bear, we wonder, what's the purpose of this? David HaMelech tells us in Kapitel Samach, he says, Nasata lire'echa nes lihisnaises. Hashem gives those who fear him a nes, to lihisnoses. A nes could be a test to raise them up, but the same word nes could be a miracle, going beyond your limits. Hashem wants you to break, Hashem wants us to break our nature and become the miracle. And the word nes also means a banner, which is raised up high. We will become like a high-flying banner of a ship, which stands out and makes a statement and is not drowned by the stormy waters at sea. Mighty stormy oceans imbue passengers with fear, just like a polar bear. Yet the banner of the ship remains resilient aloof from the huge, powerful waves. My father would say, recognize that there is something beyond the test. Hashem is bringing out your greatness. And one of my curricula is called Build Bitachon. And I see that all in life, all of those heavy bricks, the tests that weigh us down, we feel like we can't carry it. And the truth is, we can't carry it alone. We need divine connection. And I see those bricks, that with trust in Hashem, we can access our greatness, our inner strength that we didn't know we had. And what do? We turn those bricks into building blocks to build our mikdash, our home. And of course, our home is a home for Hashem. And this building of bitachon, transforming our bricks through connection with Hashem and trust in Hashem, is going to build the Beis HaMikdash. After teaching for so many years, I realized that a lot of what I was teaching was not being integrated. And I myself realized that I was facing my own polar bears. Baruch Hashem, a growing family, a lot of stress in many different ways, lots of community responsibilities. And my responses were not working anymore. I had to go beyond my nature. I had to go beyond my own old patterns of reacting and look for ways that would bring calm into my home, into my heart, and for my family. And not only my family, but even my community. My mood was affecting everybody. So Baruch Hashem, after teaching tefillah for many years, Hashem gifted me with this G.R.O.W acronym. And through daily practice of the G.R.O.W method, we're able to integrate something that might just stay as a muna in our mind and infuse it into our hearts so that it is a go-to when we face a polar bear or a storm at sea or a brick. However, whatever metaphor you want to use for those things that weigh on us or induce fear inside of us. So I invite you to write down G, gratitude. Now we have the guide, which is the siddur. Siddur means order. It doesn't mean prayer book. It means this is the guide to tefillah, which is tofel, which is attachment, connection with Hashem. It begins with gratitude. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I ground myself in modeh ani. And then I say Birchat HaShachar. And so ladies, put your feet on the ground and feel the ground beneath your feet with gratitude. Feel your seat that is supporting you. And take a breath and breathe in. Fill your lungs with gratitude. This is step one. Thank you, Hashem, for the soul that you breathed into me and this body that I can serve you with. The next step is recognition. Recognition is our psukei de zimra. This is what all of you women do every morning. Nishmat. You're praising Hashem with your song. So in psukei de zimra, we're recognizing everything that's coming up in our world, the details, even our pain, our emotions, our joy. Perhaps it's something you've learned. Recognize how you see it in your life. A tefillah. How do you see this in your life? How can you sing your song? How can you live Nishmat? What do you recognize about Nishmat that touches your soul? That is recognition. Take time to process, contemplate how Hashem is in your life. This leads to oneness, which is Shema Yisrael. This is my pledge, my commitment to bring Hashem's oneness into the world. But how do I do that? In this physical world. And so, in short, what oneness is what am I going to do about it? How am I going to bring Hashem into my home, into my pain? How am I going to connect? And that's the oneness. And so I take upon myself a Kabbalah, a small attainable goal that I can fulfill to connect with Hashem. And now comes our wish, our Shmana Esrei. This is where we turn to Hashem for our physical needs. Yes, you heard right. Our physical needs, at the pinnacle of our prayers, we are asking Hashem for a healthy body, for parnasa, for geula, for a home that is safe, where our children do not have to fear, for a world of peace, for our hostages to come home and be with their families. This is where we ask Hashem, and we ask Hashem for the physical needs, for the comforts in order to serve him in oneness, because we are not just spiritual beings. We need to bring Hashem into this world, and as we say, a dira betachtonim, a dwelling place for him. So I ask you, ladies, who was the first woman to daven with this formula? She was actually the first, not just the first woman. And the men around her were very confused because they had never seen personal prayer. They were used to communal prayer where everyone sang loud and together. And here, this noble woman wouldn't give up on her dreams. She recognized her pain and she called out to Hashem for a healthy body that could bear a child. And who was this woman? Chana Hanaviyah. So if I was Chana, this is what my G.R.O.W would look like. And it's connected to Nishmat. Dear Hashem, I am so grateful for this body that you've given me and the Nechama that has a yearning to fulfill its mission in this world. I am grateful for my husband and for my family. I recognize that I want to serve you with all of my organs. And there's a part of me that cannot if I don't have a child. And I'm being taunted by Penina, but I know that this is coming from you, Hashem, to deepen my connection to you, to remind me that it's so painful to be childless and that it's not just for me, but I want to dedicate this son to you. So in oneness with you, Hashem, I will continue to daven with all my heart in this personal way. And when I have a child, I will dedicate him to you. I will bring him to the Mishkan. And he is for you. I want a child that will be a light for our people. And I would say that she perhaps inspired the Nishmas prayer, which is Al Kain Evarim Shapilakta Banu, Veruach Neshama Shenafachta Be'apenu, the organs that you set within us, and the spirit and soul that you breathed into our nostrils, and the tongue that you placed in our mouth, all of them shall thank Hashem and bless him and praise and glorify, exalt, and revere and be devoted, sanctify and declare the sovereignty of your name. For every mouth shall offer thanks to you. Every knee shall bend to you, and so forth. All my bones shall say, Hashem, who is like you? This is what Chana wanted. But we know the story that Eli HaKohen looked at her and said, Ad masai tishtakrena, until when will you be drunk? And what he meant was, how long will you be so drunk with your needs, so self-obsessed on the holiest day of the year when we're supposed to be crowning Hashem as a king, and all you can think about is your personal wishes? And she turned to him with so much pain, and she said, Va'eshpayches nafshi al Hashem. This is my neshama pouring out. This is not a selfish physical desire to show off a child. Absolutely not. This is for you, Hashem. This is oneness. And so when we speak to Hashem in this way, every one of our wishes, every one of our physical needs no longer is just for us. It's for you, Hashem, to partner with Hashem to create his dwelling place below. And we know the beautiful ending of Chana's story, that she had a son, Shmuel, who was a light to the world, just like Moshe and Aaron. I'd like to end this G.R.O.W with two stories, but I'm going to formulate it as the G.R.O.W because I want to share with you how I use this as a language of connection, a language that speaks from my neshama. Ve'eshbach es nafshi el Hashem. And I'd like to honor my mother, who was a Chana Hanaviah in her own way, because she heard the call, the divine call during the 6-Day War. And I would say I'm here because her neshama woke up when she was 17 at that time in 1967. But let me start off with the gratitude. I'm so grateful for my mother, who, although she lost her husband at a very young age, she was 34 years old, pregnant with a child, my youngest brother, Azriel Yitzchak, Ben Azriel Yitzchak. I'm grateful for the strength that she had to continue to raise us with a strong foundation of Torah. And I recognize that that she grew up in a war zone in Algeria, where the bombs were flying. And then by the time she was 12 years old, her family had to leave to France when the Arabs took over, like so many Jews who had to flee countries. And she started a new life in France. And then in 1967, when the 6-Day War broke out in France, there were a lot of protests for Israel, supporting Israel, and she joined them. She didn't exactly understand what Yiddishkeit meant, what her connection with the Holy Land, with Eretz Yisrael was, but she felt it in her neshama. And she even asked her parents, can I go and help with the war efforts? And she was too young at 17 years old. So instead, she joined a Jewish camp that summer, where they taught her about Shabbos, even though they didn't enforce Shabbos. But she was inspired. And she came home after camp and decided, I'm not going to turn on the light this Shabbos. I'm going to try to keep Shabbos. And that was it. From that moment on, the light in her neshama was turned on. But then she realized that in France, in those days, there was school on Shabbos. How could she go to school? Now she must go to a Jewish school. And she's already in 12th grade. And her parents are like, we're not paying for a Jewish school. So she went and she enrolled herself and begged them to accept her free of tuition. And Baruch Hashem, because of that, my mother went to a seminary in France, Beis Rivka Seminary, and then later on came to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe, where she was introduced to my father, Rabbi Azriel Yitzchak Wasserman, a pure American. She spoke French, and somehow they communicated, definitely from the neshama. So in oneness with Hashem, I think it's important to express gratitude to our parents. Every one of us, our parents have taken their tests, and turned them into miracles. We're all miracles. Our parents are miracles. And the fact that I'm here is a miracle. And something so challenging as a 6-Day War became the miracle for generations. Isn't that incredible? I didn't know this story until this war happened. And I spoke to my mother about it, and she was in Israel on October 7th. She was there for Tishrei. And she said, I'm fulfilling an unfulfilled dream. I went and I volunteered. And she's like, I wasn't afraid. The next day she was out in Yerushalayim. She's like, this is where I want to be. I want to move to Israel. So then I want to end off with a bracha for my mother and all of our parents. They should age with grace and with good health and have so much nachas and their children and grandchildren, and to understand what a miracle they are to us in our lives. And now my G.R.O.W about my father. So my Baruch Hashem, I'm grateful. I used to not feel this way. I used to be in grief. But thanks to G.R.O.W, I did grow even before it was an acronym. I can turn my grief into growth and gratitude. I'm grateful for the precious 10 years that Hashem bestowed me with a father who truly lived with bitachon. And I recognize a story that happened and how he inspired me when I was 7 years old. We need to instill these values in our young children because then it's the way that they are wired. So one day I came home from school. I was 7 years old in a new school because my parents had moved from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. My father was the teacher for the shochtim of Empire Kosher Chicken. But after 2 years, that school folded and we returned back to Crown Heights, where my father once again was a teacher in Lubavitch Yeshiva. By the way, my father was a college graduate, gave up a full scholarship to Harvard University in order to become a rabbi and a rebbe of young children who he imbued with bitachon. So I was in a new school in Brooklyn, a large school, coming from a small community where I only had a few girls in my class. And here I was faced with my own little polar bears, or maybe Penina, like Chana was faced with Penina, who taunted her and said, you don't have any, I am better than you because I have children. But that deepened her connection with Hashem. So something similar happened to me. I came home and I said, Tati, I really don't want to go to this new school. I'm being taunted. I'm being insulted. There's so many girls here that are insensitive. And he turned to me and with a big smile, he said, I know it's hard, but this is what I want. I want to encourage you to do. The next time this happens, say, I trust you, Hashem, because this is coming from Hashem. And he explained to me that when I understand what it feels like to be hurt, then I will be careful not to hurt anyone else. And this is coming from Hashem, so I can say, I trust you. And he was a teacher, so he knew I needed an incentive at 7 years old. And he said, when you come home, I will give you a quarter. And so when I told this story at my G.R.O.W Connection Circle, which you're all invited on Mondays through Wednesdays, 10:30 a.m., the women said, wow, let's do that ourselves. That's a great bitachon bank. When we face a polar bear or a test and we don't respond with our natural reaction of frustration and anger or yelling or whatever that is, or freaking out, we say, I trust you, Hashem, give yourself a reward in this bitachon bank. And it became this thing that I'm actually starting. So I invite you all, and I can send you the instructions if you send me an email. And we started to do this. And what I realized was my father was teaching me the pasuk, Nasata lire'echa nes lihisnaitheth. What would happen when I came home from school? I didn't care about the antagonist, my Penina, pain. I said, Tati, I said I trust you. And my father lifted me up with the biggest hug. And he said, I'm so proud of you, Nechama Dina. And then he gave me my reward, my abundance. And they say that bitachon, trust, brings abundance. It was no longer about the antagonist, about the Penina in my life. It was about my connection with my Tata. And now, today, I understand that with every test, Hashem wants to raise me up. He wants to lift us up and he wants to give us the greatest hug. Could you imagine coming home every day and saying, Hashem, this is where I trusted in you today. I reacted with trust. And you know what happens when you say, Ani eftach bach? I trust you, Hashem. It's like the light is on. You might not even see the solution, but it's going from darkness into light. And then you can clearly see in oneness with Hashem, this is where I can go next. This is Hashem. He is my light. And ladies, do you know that the word Ani Aftach Bach is Gematria, Hamas? So all of our polar bears and all of our tests can be eradicated with trust in Hashem. And we know Bitchu B'cha Batchu Avaseinu Batifal Temai. It was because our fathers trusted in you that Hashem delivered them. It's the trust of the Nashim Tzidkanias that will bring the Geula. Don't minimize our role and the power of bitachon, that every brick in our life is a building block to build the mikdash and the ultimate Beis HaMikdash. And Baruch Hashem, for many years, I've been creating curricula, bringing emunah and bitachon in ways that are tangible and concrete to students. And I realize now women, we need it too. After this, I'm going to greet my counselors who are here for the Build Bitachon Jewish Girls Winter Retreat. This is a time in America that many schools are off, even Jewish schools that are more like day schools. And so we're infusing Ruchnius into America, Amrik, a very empty nation. We are bringing this vacation to the girls in such a way that they can build bitachon through art, through this bitachon bank, and through a song that will conclude with the words, as we build bitachon, we build a home for Hashem and the Mikdash Hashlishi. Amen. So this week is Parshat Vayechi, and I am grateful that in oneness with Hashem, I say, Hashem, I trust you, that you gave me a father for just the right amount of time, that I needed him to inspire me and instill me with these values. And just like Yaakov, Tzadik Lo Meis, Vayechi, thank you, ladies, for the opportunity to share these powerful teachings. My father was a teacher, and he's still teaching through his children, through his students. And I wish for Mashiach to come, we could all be reunited with our loved ones. And my father always davened for Mashiach. I knew how much he wanted Mashiach. And we will complete the work of our ancestors to be the ones, to be the Nashim Tzidkaniyos, that through our bitachon, we will build the Mikdash today. Amen, Kain Yehi Ratzon. And so I invite you to try your own grow. Ladies, what are you grateful for? Your Birchat HaShachar. And you can grow through life. You can grow through a tefillah. Take the idea and integrate it into your mind, into your heart, and then do something about it. Hamasa hu ha'ikar. In Yiddishkeit, it's all about the action, the oneness. We are co-creators. We are builders with Hashem. Al tikra bonayich, banayich, ela bonayich. We are not just children of Hashem, we are builders, and we can build the Beis HaMikdash today. So what is your wish? What is that yearning? What is your Chana yearning? But today we learned from Chana to daven from that place of oneness. Hashem, I want to build for you a dira b'tachtainim. It's for you. And therefore, please give us the abundance. Give us all that we need in our bitachon bank to serve you with great joy and nachas and comfort. And I bless every one of you here today. May Hashem bless you with all of the wishes that are pouring out of your soul. And I heard that this morning when all of you are davening. You can hear the yearning from each and every one of you asking Hashem to bring Yeshua, to bring Nisim to Am Yisrael. Each of you is that nace. You are the banner making a statement. You are above the storms of the sea. People are looking at you and saying, Ashreinu matayv chalkeinu, how lucky we are to be part of a nation who, even in times of sorrow, even when they're facing tests, what do? They sing and they praise Hashem. And you are the ones beautifying Hashem's deeds in this world. So thank you, everyone, for having me today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to share my grow with all of you. And I hope that you'll share your grow with us too.
Wow, Nechama, Dina, thank you so much. It's really just so special to hear you. I'm overwhelmed with what you shared and with your light that you're shining forth and the words that you shared, the stories of your parents, your honor and respect for them are so palpable, what they gave you, and we are the beneficiaries also. I know Cyril Leva has mentioned you so many times, so I'm so grateful to hear your grow method from you right now. And I wonder if you have a minute or two for anyone if they have questions or comment.
Sure.
Okay. Ladies, does anyone want to ask a question?
Yes, this is Charlene. I always have questions. So, Nechama, Dina, we share a childhood. I also lost my father very young, and I learned a lot from him in those short years. My question in your growth process, I understand the first three ones. My question is, where does the wish, we all wish things, what kind of a wish do we wish and to build this Beit HaMikdash? Because it seems like a very broad thing, wishing, kind of wishful thinking.
So our wish is from Hashem. It's the outcome and when things happen is in Hashem's hands. But
Okay.
Hashem still wants us to wish. If you look at the 19 brachos in Shemana Esrei, it's all wishes. And it's also for produce. It's for Gashmias. It's for health, Rafa'enu Hashem. And it's also for Geula. So what do you need in order to serve Hashem? You need Gesund. You need health. You need Parnasa. You need Nachas. And when we ask, we're creating a vessel for Hashem to pour the brachas into. Some people have a hard time with the wish. Hashem already knows what I want. Why do I need a wish? Why do I need to ask? Because that's creating the vessel. Hashem has an abundance of brachas, but he needs us to give him the bowl and the spoon. Otherwise, we can't reach it. So when we ask, we're giving him that bowl and spoon to pour it into. It's like you can't benefit from a huge pot of soup. So if anyone wants to give an example of a grow, let's see some of the chat. Let's see what's, sorry.
Nechama, can I ask you a question? Hi.
Yes.
Hi, this is Ahava. Hi. I usually live in Yerushalayim, but I'm here in America, in Englewood, New Jersey. How do we get information about your growth thing? Is there a link? Can we find it?
So reach out to me at, I'm going to put in growconnectionnetwork.com. I'm going to put
Naomi's
it
going to post everything.
Naomi
okay.
usually
Great.
posts everything on the chat, so you don't have
Okay,
any
beautiful. Thank you
And,
so much. That was very beautiful.
my pleasure.
Hi.
One of my goals is to bring the curricula that I have to teach Grow into schools. So I want to put it out there, and I ask Hashem, this is not for me, it's not for my greatness. It's really to bring prayer the way Hannah did, personal prayer, to create personal connection with Hashem. So many of our students are just opening up the siddur and forgetting even to whom they're praying. And they don't realize that you can do a grow anytime. You're stuck in traffic. You're afraid. Turn it into a prayer. And of course, we do it naturally, but this gives you the guide to divine connection. And children need that. They need us to hold their hand and give us the steps. And I could tell you that my campers, they are the ones, they will say Zekeli when we go out of this gullahs. They speak to me back in Grow. And anything we learn, they will speak it back. They will say, thank you for this Torah. I recognize what I have learned from, let's say, Chana Hanavia. They will give it back. I recognize never to give up on our dreams and that Hashem wants to hear our prayers. And then they take it into action. In oneness with Hashem, I'm going to daven for my grandfathers to become better. They integrate it. And so the learning is built into their heart. And what is bitachon really? Emunah is all the knowledge and the beliefs. Bitachon it's a personal connection with Hashem. It's in the heart. And it's emotional. And that's what we want our children to grow up with. And the child inside of us as well. Okay, anybody else?
Can I say something? I mean, I've been working with the Dina for years, and this method, I have to tell you, it's a life-changing thing, because I used to be in it and then I wasn't really doing it. But I want to tell you a very interesting Maisa that happened with my friend, whose name is Penina, her daughter. She had I don't know how she thought of this, but she had like a first grader or pre-1A girl. And she went for the parent teacher night. And, the parents get to see the report cards, right, before the kid. And she's looking and she sees by tefillah, she's getting like, I don't know, like a needs improvement or some not nice grade. And she said to the teacher, why is she getting this? She said, oh, she stares out the window and she this. And she said, I would like, and this is a young woman. And she said, I want to tell you something with all due respect. When I bring this report card home, I'm changing this. I'm not letting my daughter see this grade. And the teacher was like, excuse me. And she said, listen, all the things she's going to learn in her life, she may not remember. All the Navi, all the Nach, it's beautiful, but I don't know how much she's going to retain, depending on what she does with her life. Tefillah, she needs for her whole life. For her to feel that she's not up to par in tefillah because she may be, a little bit of a dreamer, she said, I can't do that to my child. To her credit, that Mora said, you know what, you're right. And she changed the grade. But I mean, this method, it's not, when a parent models this out loud, or a teacher models this, we're hoping to bring this to my daughter, Rachel, who's a teacher for second grade boys, and start to bring it to classrooms, which I include anybody in this group who has a daughter or themselves is in chinuch. I think this is a gift to any school to be able to teach children the model of internal prayer, which is really what we want to do all the time. The other night, a few nights already, it's been like when I couldn't sleep and I had a lot on my head, I now shift into G.R.O.Ws. I just lay in bed, close my eyes, and I go, I'm grateful. I recognize with one, and I just do it. I go through the different things, and I just, and I fall asleep. But I fall asleep in.
Can you go through the G.R.O.W. as you started to say, just quickly? I'm grateful. I just want to hear the pieces of all the words.
Let's say I'll do it.
But you want to do a G.R.O.W.? Surely, demonstrate a G.R.O.W. for them.
Demonstrate a G.R.O.W.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just do a G.R.O.W. about this group. I am grateful for having been part of Nishmat for the past few years. I recognize that not only I've formed beautiful friendships that Hashem has guided me to, but I recognize the growth and the gift of all the tefillah and the amazing women that have come on. And I know and I feel in my bones, this is oneness with Hashem wanting to give me this gift of a new facets of the diamond of Torah through the lens of all these different women. And I want to be able to share this group, as I've done with many women, and my own growth. I want to be able to keep growing. I want to be able to keep deepening my batachon more than anything. I really want to keep, this group has done that for me. So I would go right back into another G.R.O.W. And for sure with Nechama Dina, I could do a G.R.O.W. because if you would know how much stuff has happened with me meeting Nechama Dina, like I could do a G.R.O.W. for like an hour and 2, maybe 3 hours about stuff that's happened with me and Nechama Dina. But
so the O is sometimes I know, the K-N-O-W, the I know. I know it sounds, I'm breaking it down sillily, but I just need to hear it. I got the G, I got the R.
So G is gratitude, R is recognition, O is oneness, and W is want. Wants or wishes.
So the oneness is the Shema Yisrael, and that's bringing your recognition into action. Just like think about Chana Hanaviyah, right? She recognized her pain. She realized it's coming from Hashem to deepen her connection. And in oneness with Hashem, she davened. She trusted in him. She didn't let others put her down. She took that step. Sometimes it's an action step. Sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it's a prayer. Sometimes it's just saying, Hashem, I trust you. Right. But it's doing your part, your hishtadlus. That's the oneness, right? Because you are one with Hashem. And if you want to really understand oneness, learn what the Shema is about. The Shema lists all different mitzvahs. So it's the actions of connecting with Hashem. It's mezuzah. I have a new logo that's build bitachon, and the I took away the I and I put a mezuzah. And that is it, removing the I reaction and changing it for the I of Hashem. That Hashem is watching over you and Hashem wants you to kiss him. He wants you to connect to him. When you go in and when you go out, he's part of your life. That's oneness. And you're working together. You're not carrying those bricks alone. He's carrying them for you. He just wants you to help build the house. Do our part.
Thank you again so
thank
much,
you
so
for
much.
introducing me.
Charlene?
Yes, I just want to tell Cyril, she's on the screen, that she introduced me to this tequila women's group forever, and we became best friends. Thank you, gratitude.
Well, right back at you because you hosted my wedding. So after
One
So
for
that's-
one, it's good.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for this. Hi, I'm wondering, am I being heard?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, I'm wondering if there's something that for this GROW method and the way you were talking about your father. So my sister-in-law, my husband's brother just was nifter from an illness, and so he left behind 3 darling children. And I'm wondering, they are in public school. One is about to graduate high school and got into college. They belong to a synagogue, but I'm wondering if you have something for the daughter who is in 4th grade. She's on break now, actually. I don't know if this.
I do. I have online classes 3 times a week, Sunday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, for different ages. I call it creative online clubs. I call it Bat Mitzvah Club and Teen Connection Circle. And one of the things I've done with great gratitude to Hashem is I have written a book called Finding Song in Sorrow. I did face the pain. I went through my Egypt and asked Hashem to take me out of it. So this is definitely a process. And I would say the GROW method, if we have this, it helps us grow through the Egypt in our life. Because the Rambam says that so much of our suffering in life is not really because of the circumstances. It's because we're conditioned to see the bad. And he says if we would wake up with gratitude and recognize all the details and how Hashem is caring for us, it would be 99% of our problems would be probably removed. And with joy, we can accomplish so much more. We can take that next step. So it was really a gift from Hashem that I was able to write this book. And I would say that my whole book is working on the gratitude to see the light instead of the loss in my life. And I would say that the girls get that just by learning this language. I don't tell them you be grateful. You don't have to be grateful for the challenges, but within the challenge, like one of my girls said, my bed broke. And at first I was like, oh my gosh. Then I stopped and said, I'm grateful I have a bed. So that's how our girls think.
Wow.
Can you hold the book so that I could take a screen print,
Yeah,
please?
so this is on Amazon, Finding Song in Sorrow. This one is also on Amazon, Grow Through Prayer.
Okay, great.
And then one of the things I have is Grow Planners. I sell that at my website, growconnectionnetwork.com. The planners are a way to integrate it. And there's an introductory planner. Then there's one about prayer each day, an idea about prayer. It's coming out in Shvat. And then I have another one that's Grow Through Trust. And every day, another idea from Shar HaBitachon, from the gates of trust. And every day you grow through the idea, like, where do I see this in my life and how can I apply it? That's the oneness. And then, of course, Hashem, I need the wishes in order to live it. I need help. You know, when we're not feeling well, it's so much harder to daven and to do the things, and we need to feel safe. And so we need to talk to Hashem in that way and remind him that it's lo lanu, it's for him.
Thank you so
Sorry,
much,
can I-
Nechama, Dina. Thank
Hi.
you. We really hope you'll come back and we're going to take what you taught us today with any polar bear that happens to dare to cross our path and put it right in there. Thank you. Everybody have a
Sorry to the
wonderful,
host.
wonderful day.
Can I make a request to the host to put the link on for this? I'm having a Rosh
Okay.
Hashanah gathering and would love to play part of this particular presentation.
You know what?
Okay.
Naomi is going to be doing that when she
What is
yeah,
what is
she's the
the
one who will
You know,
post it.
if you email me,